Hi everybody, I'm filming this on Yom Kippur, so Gamar Tov everybody, and want to wish everybody a belated Rosh Hashanah, which is Lashana Tova. And that being said, the universe is back in balance again. Marvel has decided to reboot the Fantastic Four. It's not a total reboot. They're kind of continuing the story from when it left off, and these are my thoughts on the reboot, as well as my thoughts on the Fantastic Four in general. In keeping with our themes of Jewish holidays. Ben Grimm is Jewish, as was King Kirby, and he does say "oi" and mentioned something about a Verkakta situation. So there's a lot of there's some Yiddish things. The art in the reboot is awesome, and let's see who's doing the art. Okay. Here's who's doing the art. Color's good. Just a couple of other storyline plots. Reed, Sue, Valeria, and Franklin are all stuck in elsewhere. They're stuck in universes, and they're exploring new universes. But Ben and Johnny and the whole world think that they're lost in space, and they want to get on with their lives. Ben proposes to Alicia. That's a spoiler alert. I'm sorry to mention that. So sorry to not say spoiler alert. And then, the first ish is about Ben and Johnny dealing with the rest of the Fantastic Four missing. Ben asks Johnny to be his best man, and Johnny says no, it should be his best friend, Reed, and kind of blows up at him. And there's not a lot of superheroing going on in the first ish, but great storytelling. And more on the Fantastic Four storytelling. And in the first issue, they do a salute to the great Steve Ditko, who passed away shortly before the release. And Steve Ditko's work in the original Spider-Man, creating Doctor Strange, is just kind of. Just as an aside, I don't think Kirby or anybody else could have done the original Spider-Man as well as Steve Ditko did. So this is the first ish of the reboot, and the second ish, kind of wanted to get a couple of issues in before I talked about it, so that I can kind of get a clearer picture on whether or not I like it, and I do. The second issue deals with what's going on with Steve, Reed, and the kids, and Reed's got sporting a goatee. So what's going to happen when Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and Reed get Reed get together? They can have a beard competition. They introduce a new villain. And Reed, former members of the Fantastic Four will figure into the issues that three on up. But anyway, the Fantastic Four. I'm so glad they, Marvel not having the first family of comic books, not having them. In the lineup, I hear rumors. There are rumors that because Marvel wanted to have the rights to make the movie, and they wanted the rights to come back to them, and it didn't. That they just said, "The heck with it. Why should we advertise and plug a movie, we're not making, from our characters that we created?" So there you go. But the Fantastic Four was probably my favorite. That and Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos were my two favorite comic books of all time. And a lot had to do, the King Kirby, Jack King Kirby artwork. You just, whether you like it or not, that's what made the Fantastic Four. But it's also the storytelling. I mean, with the series, the run that they had, where they introduced Galactus and the Silver Surfer, and they brought those characters in. I mean, not only is that perfection in comic book form, but also literature. I mean, this stands up to classics like Dracula and Madame Bovary and all those books they made you read in college. But the storytelling. I mean, they're a group of superheroes that would fight. They would argue amongst themselves, and Ben Grimm would stomp off in a huff, and Reed was often overbearing, and just the storytelling in that way was just superb, especially the Jack King Kirby run. I read them, but I didn't really like the Ultimate. I think the Ultimate Fantastic Four, they made Reed look like kind of a milquetoast, and I just didn't like it too much. That's a nice watch. Also, another thing I kind of liked was these were people that had superpowers, but they didn't hide behind a secret identity. The world knew who they were. Yancey Street knew who they were. There was one issue where they were getting their fan mail delivered. It was just, that was just excellent. I mean, if I had a superpower, I wouldn't hide behind a mask. I wouldn't hide behind a mask or a secret identity. I'd say, here I am, and do some superheroing. I loved the, not as much as I loved the Kirby run, but the John Byrne artwork run. That was some really good storytelling. And in the beginning, the first maybe 20 issues or so, the villains were lame. I think the Dragon Man, I think that was kind of lame. The Puppet Master, okay, that was a little better, but some of them were, it's like there's a game, there's a card game based on the Marvel superheroes, and you have different plot devices and different crimes or things that the superheroes have to react to. And one of them is a Midtown bank robbery. Now, would you have, I've done it, but I had like Dr. Doom doing a Midtown bank robbery, fighting Fantastic Four with Thor. I mean, the Fantastic Four were, they're this big cosmic, they have the negative zone, and the characters like Iron Fist, wouldn't be able to get in there. And a lot of it, has to do with Kirby's artwork, those circles, and he did collages in the first annual, he did something with photographs that was just really kind of innovative for the time, and maybe innovative for all of comics. Another thing I like about the Fantastic Four is their story moved on. The characters developed. Sue and Reed got married. They had kids. Ben started accepting his fate as the ever-loving blue-eyed thing, with Clobber Time stuff. And by the way, the titles, where when Stan Lee did the titles, what this man, this monster, I mean that's a great title. It was a great splash page. I don't remember what issue it was, so if you remember, put it down in the notes or in the comments below. I think that as long as there's Fantastic Four stories in the Marvel universe, you know, that's going to be awesome. And another, going back to character development, Sue Storm, she was the Invisible Girl and kind of like a helpless, a helpless character in a way. You know, they had to rescue her. But then when she became the Invisible Woman, she ended up being the most powerful member of the FF. And, I just, I mean, some of those issues, when I keep going back to the Kirby run, when they introduced the Black Panther, Wakanda forever, and this was the first big Marvel comic series, and I think that they lay claim to being the world's greatest comic magazine, and I believe they've met that mark. So put your thoughts below. Give me a hearty thumbs up if you like this. If you don't like the Fantastic Four, shut up. Bye now.